All right, welcome back, and let's head over to Singapore's Changi Airport, where passengers are getting ready to board the world's largest passenger jet for its maiden journey. And Asha Popalal joins us now directly from the departure lounge. And Asha, I believe that you have one of the passengers with you, and tell us about what he plans to do, what the family plans to do.
Well, there have been so many interesting passengers on this flight. As we were doing the check-in just now, there was a 10-month-old baby, there was a 91-year-old man, there were so many people. But one of the most special guests on that flight is actually this man standing next to me here, Mr. Thomas Lee, who was actually on that very iconic 747 flight almost 40 years ago, and he's back now as a special guest on this A380 flight, which has been likened to as an iconic flight to that B747 flight. So Thomas, tell us, how does it feel now?
I'm just over the moon. This is absolutely the most special moment in my life since 37 years ago when I had that chance to fly on the first 747.
What are you expecting from this flight?
Well, I'm expecting, of course, the great Singapore Airlines service. I'll start with that. But I understand this is a very quiet airplane and a very smooth flight, and all the great amenities that are on board. It should be fantastic.
But you're a special guest, but I understand you also have two people with you here. Can you tell me about them?
I do indeed. My wife, Sally, and my daughter, Brianna. I was able to secure seats for them through the eBay auction, very fortunately, and have them join me and repeat history as my father brought my family on the 747 flight.
Did you make sure that he bid enough to make sure that both you and your daughter got onto the flight?
Well, I didn't have to. He was so excited, and he wanted us to come, and we wanted to come. So we were going to get tickets.
It's been a very early morning flight. Did you get any sleep at all last night, Brianna?
Barely any sleep, but we did go to bed early so that we could get up on time for this flight today.
And what are you hoping, are you hoping to carry on the tradition for the next generation now?
Of course, I'm just happy to be the third generation that has flown on the inaugural flights, and just happy to be on this flight.
Well, there you have it. They have one very excited family, and there's just one of the very many excited families that are all just behind the camera here as the speeches go on, and they're getting all gearing up to get onto the flight and board the big giant bird that is just behind me here. And you can see there's still a lot of people taking pictures of that bird before it takes off.
And Asha, an interesting thought that comes to my mind is, can you ask if the excitement and the momentum feels the same as the experience of the 747 perhaps about 3-4 decades in the 1970s?
We'll have to repeat that. There's so much going on here. I could barely hear you there for a minute, Chloe.
How does the experience feel today, the momentum, as opposed to the maiden journey of the 747 in the 1970s?
Okay. My presenter, Chloe, was absolutely fascinated by the fact that it must have been very different back in the 70s. Obviously it's in Asia, it's different, the plane is obviously so different. How did the two experiences compare?
Well, of course, I was only 17 at the time, but it was back when there was the romance of flight. Everyone was dressed in suits and fancy dresses. But of course, that 747 was the first wide-body double-decker plane, which was a monumental leap forward in aviation, as is the A380, a monumental leap forward today. So they're both fantastic events in different eras, different generations.
Ladies and gentlemen.
What about yourself? I mean, for you, it would have been you would not have gone on the 747. So how does it feel for you now here?
Well, the excitement of obviously being with Singapore, flying with the Singapore people, and the A380 is just as Tom says, over the moon. We are totally excited about being here.
Well, that's it. That's the general emotion over here. Back to you now.
Well, Asha, it looks like SIA is going to have to keep launching brand new flights just so the family can keep, coming all together and travel again.
Eventually, get the entire family on board. Yeah.
Just as we wrap up a bit quickly, we hear lots of good food and wine on board as well. Unfortunately, I think we'll have to come back to Asha later on to check in on that. But I hear lots of the best in
feeling
wine and
very
food all
envious,
being prepared. Okay, we'll be checking in with Asha for more updates in the run-up to the plane's takeoff at 8 a.m. Singapore, Hong Kong time. So you'll want to stay tuned and make sure you don't miss out on that.
All right, and we're also going to be speaking to Richard Pinkham from the Center for Asia Pacific Aviation on the new A380 and his take on how he thinks the Super Jumbo will impact air travel. And that's coming up in just about an hour's time, Singapore, Hong Kong time at 8:20. So do stick around on Primetime Morning.
Singapore Airlines' new A380